Hey, we're back. Oh, it's good to see your smiling faces. I see you, and I see you. And by the way, Mercedes, it's good to have you back in the studio here, back at work.
Good to be back, Lance.
Got your Carlsbad sweatshirt on. Mm-hmm. And I just want to say something. Somebody put over here the rhino. I noticed the rhino. Somebody's adding this to my...
I don't know who added it, but it was really funny because you missed the cue. You were like, la, 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 la. Oh, it's time to go live.
Oh, it is good time to go live. I remember the Seinfeld routine about who's the person that names these things. Like, who was the guy that came up with rhinoplasty as the terminology for plastic surgery on an enlarged nose? He said, as though the person isn't suffering enough from the self-conscious, you got to call it rhinoplasty. So anyway, I was just thinking, you know, the #1 series that I ever did before Donald Trump sucked me into the cosmic vortex of his Donald Trump. I tell you what, I love the guy. I mean, but I've been in the warfare over this guy in America since 2015. But up until then, the #1 selling product I ever had was I launched more businesses with doing business supernaturally. Can you close up on this, Mr. Cameraman?
It's going to be a slow zoom.
Oh, forget it. Come on, doing business supernaturally. Oh, here he comes. Oh, I like that slow zoom. Doing business supernaturally. We have 201 and 101. I've got two different versions of it. You need to get 101 right now. And let me tell you what's in there. It's 4 types of agreement. I've launched more businesses off of this course than anyone I know. Even business and marketing people admit that the success we had with this was supernatural. I did it at the first Voice of the Apostles conference with Randy Clark, Heidi Baker, Bill Johnson. I did a 2-day pre-event, and it was supernatural. There was an anointing on that event. There's 4 types of agreement that have immediate impact on your marketplace. Understanding 15 practical applications for the gifts of the Spirit in a business. I mean, I would go back and read this stuff and listen to stuff again right now myself. It's fascinating.
Well, and we have 88 reviews up there on this product, 5-star reviews. And let me just read you one or two, maybe one or two. But Rebecca Sutton says, this series has so profoundly affected me. It didn't just teach, it led by example and gave tools and insights that helped me process it and apply it to my life. And then Debbie Adams says, in my prayer time a few weeks ago, I asked Lord to give me some business wisdom. And then I turned on the podcast and I heard Carl mention your course, Doing Business Supernaturally, and that it was your most popular download. She said, talk about divine intervention. I'm so glad I downloaded and listened to this teaching series. It's loaded with great concepts, many of which I hadn't thought of before, such as rewording my elevator pitch. Plus, I think in this you talk about like baptizing your business papers. Do you remember that?
I did. How to break curses off, how to dedicate your business to God, baptizing it. Use LanceWallnau.com/supernatural business. LanceWallnau.com/supernatural business. And I'm so confident of the power of this to transform your life. 7 different streams of income are described in the book of Genesis. The 7 areas that Abraham was authorized to have wealth in. I want to give you $100 off right now. If you go there this week, LanceWallnau.com, go there tonight, /supernatural business. And this is my economic breakthrough gift to you. I want you to grab that teaching. It's almost like Elijah's bones. They threw a dead body on the old man's dried bones, and there was enough anointing in those bones to bring resurrection life. This was like 10 years ago. But boy, bam, it's got life on it. All right, so where I want to go now is very muy importante. We're going to come in now. We're going to go. What are you pointing at, Mercedes?
I'm ready to go. I'm cueing the team. The clock's got to be reset.
All right, reset the clock as we're going. By the way, we're live. I'm doing this segment right before Bannon comes on Real America's Voice. We are recording, so I'm going to invite you guys in, and we're going to start the show. We're going to begin the show. Are you ready? Get Radio 10 ready, because we're going to start the show in a second. 3, 2, 1. I'm bringing myself in. Hey, welcome to the Lance Wallnau Show. I'm glad you're here. Now, look, I want to play this for you in case you've missed it. Biden thinks Putin is in Iraq. Play it. Look at this.
It's hard to tell, but he's clearly losing the war in Iraq. He's losing the war at home. And he has become a bit of a fly around the world. And it's not just NATO. It's not just the European Union. It's Japan. It's 40 nations.
I mean, maybe you can't hear it quite clearly, but he says, Putin's not only losing the war in Iraq, he's losing the war at home. Now, the idea is a good, lucid kind of a thought there, which is he's losing the war in Ukraine, he's losing the war at home, but he's not losing the war. I think Biden believes Putin's losing because somebody's telling him we're doing great. Zelensky's holding on. What are we giving him? Another 500 U.S. to give Ukraine an additional 500 million. Lindsey Graham is like, this trillions of dollars. He's just so frustrated that they did. He's not frustrated that McCarthy closed a deal, which is going to fund trillions of dollars of waste. It's all coming to you to have to pay for. He wants to get his money in there for Ukraine. Ukraine, 500 million in additional military aid was somehow committed. What would it be like if we put $500 million into charter schools in the United States, or eradicating or building a wall in between us and Mexico? Doesn't it make you mad when you think about how they're managing the incompetence of these people? But anyway, the Institute for the Study of War, a DC-based think tank, has assessed that Russia may be signaling it's willing to carry out an attack to dissuade Ukraine from attempting counteroffensive operations in the area. Nothing you're hearing from mainstream news or Washington is true about what's happening. Let me give you an analysis of what's going on with.
I was just going to pipe in.
I was just going to cover Russia. But you were saying.
Well, that was a good segue, because I was just saying, you're talking about, Biden, you can't remember what country he's at war with. Did you see Robert Kennedy Jr., though? Did you see him this week working out? I mean, you contrast those two Democrats.
Are you telling me that now's when you want to bring up your favorite video you found?
No, it's not my favorite video.
Well,
no. I'm just saying it's a great contrast between a guy who doesn't even know what war we're in, and then you've got, Kennedy out there pumping iron, and like some beach place.
I have to say, okay, let's go there for a second before we go into Russia.
They queued that up before you asked for it.
Look at this.
I'm not going to touch the bar until I see it stop for more than a second. Let's go.
This is Robert Kennedy Jr. I want the push-ups.
I know. Can we go to the push-up one? I found 2 videos.
By the way, producer, wait till I tell you to bring them up. Oh, my
Let's go.
Looks like Peter Navarro.
I know, right?
Check it out. This is Kennedy. This is his third set. This is why he's a little bit tired. Check that out. You know what? I want that kind of beach body. That's what I want. Beneath this jacket lies a...
I mean, he looks healthier than most of the young guys running. He looks more buff than a lot of the contenders out there, and healthy.
I got to tell you, Joe Rogan's going to cover that.
Probably.
Look, he does look great. I mean, I'm sorry to say, I don't think the Trump Meister looks that good.
Well, we don't want to tempt anybody out there either. I know for all those ladies watching.
Know. Listen, if you want to get delivered from attraction to naked men, look at some of the people on these pride parades. That'll deliver you in a heartbeat. All right, listen, since I'm back to Russia now, I hardly want to go to Russia after that.
Well, he looks like he's got the firepower to deal with it.
Russia. You guys already know what's going on in Russia. Ukraine is losing. This 500 million is going to be paying people off for the 5th most corrupt country in the world, getting money. Giving them more money doesn't solve the problem. It's a meat grinder. They're decimated. Ukraine doesn't have the military capacity. You know how I know that? Because when this hothead Prigozhin took the Wagner unit of the military, which is the heavy fighting wing of the Russian forces, They basically take criminals and other nationalities, and they limit the amount of Russian dead by letting guys out of prison. They put them into the Wagner unit, and the Wagner unit gives them military opportunity to serve the country and serve the unit in exchange for like parole and for negotiating freedom. It's kind of brilliant and weirdly evil. It's like a strange strategy. But Prigozhin had a fight with the military because he's a military unit of his own. It's like a private army. And he was having difference of opinion with the top two of Putin's other officers, generals. And evidently the generals, in order to retaliate to him, actually had a friendly fire mishap. They did a strike. Oh, we made a mistake. And they killed 25 of his men, basically letting him know they could do what they want. Well, you don't do that with some of these guys because they're criminal. They're like criminal minds in the first place. So Prigozhin just freaked out. He turned around and took like 25,000 troops and started moving towards Moscow, saying, "You want to do that to me? I'll come and kill you." Well, Putin's watching this, and he's freaking out because he's got his own military unit coming in to take back Moscow. He sends 3 helicopters, 4 helicopters, 5 helicopters out. They shoot them down. Now, Putin is furious. He mobilizes 25, 30,000 army to go out and intercept the force, so they're going to have it. And he's mostly embarrassed because on the world stage, it's not something you want to have happen when your own military is threatening to kick you out of office. So the Belarusa friend of Putin and Prigozhin, who is Lukashenko, he calls up Prigozhin. He says, "Hey, you guys, you better chill because they're gonna wipe you out." And so Prigozhin makes a deal to go to Belarusa with his army and hide out there. Meanwhile, Putin, angry as anything you can imagine, embarrassed too, puts the word out. Any members of your military unit that want to return back to the real military, the Russian army, you can come back. We're not going to hold you. You got sucked into this. You probably didn't even know what you were getting into. And so we're going to give you amnesty on this. However, those of you that want to stay with the unit, stay there. You're not working for me. You're going to stay with Lukashenko in Belarusa. Hear what's happening? So now Belarusa has this highly trained military unit parked in their country. I don't know how comfortable they're going to be with that, but and one wonders how long Prigozhin is going to live, because knowing Putin's style, he probably realizes right now that he has basically picked a fight with Putin, and that's not. I really think it was a mistake, but it was a mistake for the reasons I gave you under the heat of war and how people sometimes don't reflect wisely. But that being the case, Lindsey Graham and Blumenthal, 2 senators, want war. It's like they want a hot war with Russia. You have to pray as much to bind every influence that's on the senators that are in charge of this, not Congress, but the senators who are working with Defense Department contractors, big money that invests in they're like the military wing. And it's weird, Democrat and Republican, they're both in complete agreement. They love wars because these guys got spirits on them, I'm telling you. So they're the ones that helped to approve the pipeline getting blown up. They're the ones that were helped approve the dam getting blown up. And now Zelensky would like to aim for a nuclear reactor, because if he can get that nuclear fallout, then it gets into the nuclear realm, and now you have the opportunity for maybe accelerating the engagement of the EU and the United States in a hot war with Russia. That's got to stop in Jesus' name. If you're a praying person, you just take authority over that agenda. But I'm telling you how these things could unravel, because there were even people that are kind of knuckleheads who are going, and this is typical of Blinken and Biden and the New York Times and these writers that go, "Oh, Putin's experiencing a coup," as though, yeah, they can't, not stopping to think. The fact that, that the czar in Russia is getting kicked out doesn't mean Lenin is an improvement. Lenin and Stalin are not an improvement on the Russian czar. You don't want Putin out. At least Putin has restrained himself and been very disciplined in how he's managing the provocations that we keep giving him. And if I seem excited, I'm excited because we don't need a nuclear war, especially over the issue of a corrupt regime battle on a foreign soil when you're neglecting your own country and your own border. And I'm sure you share my sentiments. So that's the picture on what's happened. But thank God there was no coup takeover. And Putin's got egg on his face because we now see that there's a fault line there in his leadership structure, but it doesn't mean that Russia is trying to get rid of him. Mercedes, any thoughts on this as we move on? All right. Well, I'm glad to see that you're in agreement with me, or maybe not in agreement, but you're not in disagreement. So so Putin is not losing the war, by the way. But the thing that this general wants Putin to do, Prigozhin, he wants him to be more aggressive. He wants him to go more forcefully into Ukraine, which is why he would have been a bad guy if he had won, if he had succeeded. He'd be escalating the war, and he might use nuclear weapons. That's why you don't always want to cheer for regime overthrow. You create something worse, and Donald Trump even said that. We'll be right back in a moment. And we will be right back. So that's my segment on Russia. Hope you guys got something out of that, because it's a big subject going on. Like what's going on? I gave you what I think is going to be proven to be a fairly accurate analysis.
Do you think like I heard rumors that they were paid off? Like when that was happening.
Hold it.
What?
We're going to come right back. I want to get that comments for Real America's Voice.
No, I don't want to.
Oh, come on. Let's get that comments in there.
No, because what if it's a stupid comment?
It's not a stupid comment. Oh, Mercedes, what a dumb comment that is.
I know. That happens from time to time, but that's okay. I'm okay with that. But let me just say though, did you hear that?
Huh?
Did you hear that though?
Yes.
Okay. So it's not something you haven't heard.
I'd like to address it.
Okay. Do you want, before we go back, do you want to promote anything on our show or no?
No, doing business supernaturally.
I mean, that is just we're on a break right now, but technically we're on another break.
I'm coming back in. LanceWallnau.com/supernatural business. Get $100 off and get the most powerful course, because who knows how much time we have in this economy where it's normal.
True.
You want to be this is Joseph's storehouse time, my friends. Don't be sitting there twiddling your thumbs thinking things are going to get better. Think about right now, it's like 40 days that Nineveh shall fall. You're not in the 40th day yet, thank God. So you want to get a hold of stuff like Doing Business Supernatural, because God will talk to you about what you can do. And then get a hold of that AI course that Mercedes has got on how to build a six-figure business rapidly, putting to work an army of resources.
I love how you're totally rebranding my course, because it's like yes, those components are in there, but it's not necessarily sold that way. But I can totally rebrand
That's what I hear.
Everything.
That's what I know. You're not doing it, and I'm trying to tell you that's what I hear. That's the music I hear.
I just want to remind you too, when we go into this next segment, this is the last segment right before Bannon. So if you want to throw to him or play the piano or something like that, that might be fun.
Yes, promo code Carl. Okay, listen, we're live on Facebook.
Okay.
We're live on YouTube. You people are very patient. Thank you. Because the break is over. Give me a countdown.
All right.
Live TV.
3, 2, 1.
And we're back. Thank you very much. By the way, we ended that segment there talking about Russia, talking about Belarus. And of course, there's a lot of disinformation going on out there. And part of the disinformation is, Russia is divided over the war. Russia isn't divided over war. It was a military dispute between who's going to be calling the shots with the military. But it wasn't a military dispute over Putin being in charge. That was pretty much clarified. But I heard rumors that the CIA had paid this guy off.
Yeah, because the Pentagon was missing $6.2 million. Did you see that? There was they gave $6.2 million away. They just found it, or billion, $6.2 billion.
Yeah, that story. I'm still trying to figure out what's going on there, because that's because of the corruption and the sloppiness and the insanity of government. I remember when Ben Carson was in front of the Senate getting confirmed for housing and urban development. And they said, how are you going to spend money? You're going to spend all this money? He says, oh, that and much, much more. They all salivated and nodded at each other. It's idiotic. These guys can't wait for bureaucrats to spend billions of dollars. They just lose them. It's a rounding error. It's like, is it $6 billion or $2 billion? Or is that $5 billion or what is it? The government, folks, this is your government. When you're talking trillions, a couple of billion here or there is pocket change. And so Prigozhin wasn't paid off by the CIA to execute a coup. He wasn't paid off. But I will tell you something interesting. Bet you didn't know. Immediately, Putin went and took over the assets of this general in Moscow, including his house. And he's so angry at him that he took $42 million of his own money, his own accounts, and his own assets and seized them. So these guys are making money. You wonder where your billions are going, though. I mean, who knows? Some of that might be going to these guys because he had $42 million at his home, which Putin grabbed.
I feel like this is going to get flagged on Facebook.
Huh?
I feel like that'll get flagged on Facebook.
Oh, this is in the Daily Mail, by the way. You want to read that article today in the Daily Mail?
Okay.
We'll bring that asset up tomorrow night. Daily Mail.
Daily Mail.
$42 million found in his home. But, of course, we could get flagged. But I should get flagged for something that's actually like this. I want you to go to item 12. The first images of the Titan subwreck emerge after pieces of vessel pulled from ocean floor. What a tragedy that was. That vessel. What is the real story there? There's several that we could go with, but the one that is the most prescient and obvious is how America's collapse of morality plays out in 1,000 stories where greed, selfishness, and short-range thinking is endangering Americans. So what you have here is you have a situation where this sub had questions about its operational safety earlier on, but that wasn't enough at $100,000 a ticket or so to keep
250,000.
250,000.
250,000, and what was so different about it and was so questionable is that it was a carbon fiber hull, and then so to get in this thing, it has like a whatever, like steel or whatever the really solid metal is on the front that they then rivet in. All like 14 rivets all around it and connect it to the fiber hull. And then what was also wild is it was controlled with a Logitech gaming controller that like you can pick up at Walmart. There were so many safety concerns, and the CEO really just was like, well, whatever, you kind of know it, the risk. And what's super sad about it is that there was a young guy, a 19-year-old kid and his dad who went for Father's Day, and the kid didn't want to go. He's like, Dad, I don't want to go. But he was like,
it's worse than that.
What?
It was supposed to be the mother and the father, but in order to make his dad happy, the wife decided she'd let her son do it.
Wow.
And the two of them were nervous about it. But it was like dad and son facing their fears together.
Ugh.
What Cameron said is the director for the movie Titanic.
Yeah.
He said the part that is infuriating is that we have these advanced intelligence systems in order to pick up on the pings of nuclear subs and stuff like that. And so they knew immediately that the sub had basically compressed and exploded. The death was instantaneous. It wasn't like it was there without, like one of those World War II movies, they're running out of oxygen. They're running out of, people drop to the bottom of the ocean. Will they get there banging on the hull? Hope they hear us. They've got the technology to hear a silent nuclear sub, just the hum, any sound. So they knew instantly, but they played the game. The government wouldn't reveal that it has the technology out there to catch the sound. And so they knew on the same day, but the media was left in the dark, and even the other people. So everybody praying and praying. I mean, you think about how you respond when you hear this stuff. You're praying as though it was you or your family member. And they already knew. It was done. It's like, boom.
Well,
over.
And there was so much other news breaking last week, right? With Hunter Biden and all that, and they let it play out over top of that. I mean, it's just wild.
Oh, this is, now you see, even I missed the obvious. And that is that I said this is another fake news cycle, but it didn't occur to me that there was intentionality, not just in pumping the story, but in letting it play out for 5 days in order to cover the Biden scandal.
Yeah, never waste a good crisis, right?
Dang, that's a good point. But it's greed is what the sad part of this is. It's a story of greed, and it's kind of like the space shuttle. When the space shuttle blew up, there were people that had questions about the O-ring. It's just that they were overruled by the determination that there was too much money and pressure. It had to get done. So let that be a lesson to you, people, that if you got questions, don't suppress them because somebody else is superficially after you.
Listen to those refiners on your team.
Listen to those refiners. Do you know that Donald Trump, here's a segue, so natural, so elegantly executed that you're going to watch this. Did you know that Donald Trump, speaking of unwanted explosions, Donald Trump is the only living U.S. president whose ancestors didn't own slaves.
Wow.
Including Barack Obama's ancestors actually were involved with slavery.
Wow.
The point is, all living presidents are descendants of slaveholders, except for Donald Trump. Item number 13. Did you guys put that up? I wasn't paying attention. Did you show that already? All right, you did. So there it is. Thank you. I wasn't paying attention. But how is it possible? I mean, this is, that some fact checkers going crazy. That can't be true. That can't be true. But the Trump family came over from Scotland. I mean, so, that's part of the deal there. And what I think is that let me share something with you about what's going to happen with Trump while we're on the subject. Everybody's always asking me that. He's in trouble with the mishandling of certain documents that are specified as, he held them up and discussed them. And did you notice how quickly CNN gets a hold of a recording of Trump discussing a document that he's not supposed to be discussing? Notice how quickly that was done compared to the fact that since 2018, the FBI and the CIA and the DOJ has been sitting on the clear trail of IRS money laundering going over the 20 corporations of the Biden family, the 5 million here, the 5 million there, the 10 million over here, and that's just the beginning. But what I want you to catch is the story that you're hearing is about a Trump DA has dismissed the case or settled the case. It was a sweetheart deal, basically letting Hunter off with minimal consequence. And the DA was a Trump-appointed DA. I want to clarify something for everybody out there, and the war room people that will be listening to this already know this, but let's test your knowledge. Senators of states are the ones that suggest who those state DAs are going to be. And the Delaware state has 2 Democrat senators. So this was their pick. And then Trump basically can approve or not approve. So when we say this is a Trump-appointed DA that was what's his name, Weiss, that was in charge of the investigation, that doesn't mean that, Trump's own guy. No, you see, because it's not a Trump guy. It's a guy that was appointed by 2 Democrats in Delaware, where Biden is the king, and these 2 senators were approving and recommending their short list, put this guy on. But the thing that I want you to catch is Merrick Garland has exposed himself to serious, not only impeachment, but possibly greater consequences. We'll see how far the spine goes in the Congress, and McCarthy and these other guys, because Merrick Garland interfered by firing and pulling people off the case when they said they were ready to proceed. They were removed by Merrick Garland. So they want to get him back up on the Hill. And I would just like to say that, quick segue here. You got the camera going? I'm just excited about July 4th. We have a July 4th coming up, and I think it's going to be a break in America is on our way. Well, you're a grand old flag. You're a high-flying flag. And forever in peace may you wave. You're the emblem of the land I love, the home of the free and the brave. and every heart beats true for the red, white, and blue, and ever in peace may you wait. But should old acquaintance be forgot, keep your eye on the grand old flag.
Woo! I'd like to see Steve do that.
Yeah, I want to see Steve Bannon join me. Take it away, Steve.
All right.
That's great.
Have you seen the ending for the podcast?
Oh, wait, we're still on Facebook. That was the ending for Steve Bannon. Ladies and gentlemen, the classic, You're a Grand Old Flag. I couldn't find my lyrics over here. And you saw me all of a sudden looking to my side. I was a little bit desperate. I started making up words there. Every heart beats true, 'neath the red, white, and blue, where there's never a boast or a brag. I missed that line. But should old acquaintance be forgot, keep your eye on the grand old flag. They got some wild verses here. I'm a cranky, hanky-panky, I'm a dead square honest Yankee, and I'm proud of that old flag that flies for Uncle Sam. Though I don't believe in raving, every time I see it waving, there's a children's up my back that makes me glad for what I am. You can't beat that. I want to see Chance the Rapper beat those lyrics.
Your total accent changes as you talk it. Like you turn into like a New York.
That's because that was George M. Cohen. He was a New York Jew. You got to get the lyrics down here. Here's a land with 1,000,000 soldiers. That's if we should need them. We'll fight for our freedom. I got to hear the whole. Evidently, You're a Grand Old Flag is the chorus to another song because those lyrics don't fit.
I'm sure there's a YouTube video for that.
I have no doubt about it. All right. By the way, any viewer questions coming in?
Viewer questions. I do think it's worth mentioning before I get to viewer questions. Please subscribe at lancewallnau.com. Just in case we ever get separated, you can stay tuned for the latest and greatest.
200,000 of you wiped off the map on YouTube because of something I said, and I don't even know what I said. And I said, what did I say? Yesterday, all my viewers, they got wiped away. Go to lancewallnau.com.
Opt in.
And you just opt in right there so that you and I could be connected. Because I'm a cranky, hanky-panky, but I'm dead square honest Yankee. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I want you to have peace and know that God is on the throne and things are working out. It may not look like it, but trust me, God is at work, and he's working in your situation right now. If you just put your faith out there, God is going to move in ways you have no possibility of knowing. Just authorize his activity and watch what happens. In Jesus' name, I'll see you again tomorrow.
Did you enjoy this latest episode? Please remember to share it with your friends, because the more knowledge you have, the better equipped you are to navigate the world.